Welcome. The university search and admissions process can feel like a maze filled with confusing advice, outdated information, and unfortunately misleading guidance. Today I want to talk to you about 10 of the most common myths and misconceptions out there so that you can focus on what truly matters and approach this whole process with more confidence and clarity. It's important that you're making informed choices that aren't based on rumor, hearsay, and misconceptions. Couple of things, though, before we get started. While some of this information is relevant in the broader global landscape of post-secondary options, a lot of what we're talking about here today pertains to U.S. colleges and universities. Also, I want to thank a mentor and former colleague, Mr. Andy Mennick, for sharing his wealth of knowledge, expertise, and experience with me as I put this together for you all. Now that all that is out of the way, let's get going. Myth number 1 is one of the most persistent ones out there about college and university admissions. It's the idea that there's some kind of secret formula, a specific set of grades, extracurriculars, or test scores that'll guarantee admission to a particular school. While it might be nice if admissions worked like an equation where input always equals output, truth is, every admission decision is unique and context dependent. Here's what really happens. U.S. colleges and universities use a holistic application review process, meaning they evaluate multiple factors, including academics, personal qualities, extracurricular involvement, essays, and often letters of recommendation from counselors and teachers, rather than relying on a rigid formula. Also, institutional priorities change from year to year. One year, a school may need more engineering students. Another year, it may focus on increasing geographic diversity. This means what worked for one student last year may not work for another this year. Lastly, fit matters. Colleges and universities don't just admit the best students in terms of numbers. They admit the students who best match their campus culture, programs, and needs for that admissions cycle. So, instead of trying to crack a non-existent code, focus on presenting your authentic self in your application. Admissions officers are looking for students who are the right fit for their school, not just students who meet a predetermined checklist. Myth number 2 is the prominent misconception that only well-known schools lead to success. The truth? The best school is the one that fits you, academically, socially, and financially. Just like finding the right pair of shoes, what works for one person may not be the best for another. Different colleges and universities have different strengths, and some institutions that may not have household name prestige can actually offer better programs and opportunities for your specific interests. For example, liberal arts colleges often have smaller class sizes and provide more direct access to professors. Aspects like this, in turn, can lead to better mentorship and research opportunities for students. Data from the National Center for Education Statistics and polls from Gallup show that students at smaller schools report higher satisfaction with faculty interaction and a greater sense that their teachers care about them compared to students at larger universities. So think about what kind of learning environment you would thrive in. Do you prefer small discussion-based classes or larger, more independent lecture halls? Answering these questions can help you find your ideal fit. A great resource that you might want to have a look at is Lauren Pope's Colleges That Change Lives, which was revised by Hilary Mantel Oswald. The work gives an in-depth look at 40 smaller liberal arts colleges in the U.S., ones that have demonstrated strong track records of positive impact on student lives, student success, and student satisfaction. You can also find more information about the Colleges That Changed Lives list online at ctcl.org. Next on our list of 10 myths and misconceptions is the idea that attending an Ivy League school is the only path to success. The reality? Top employers and graduate programs care more about what you do in college or university, not just where you go. Studies have shown that students who excel in their chosen field, regardless of where they attend, often achieve the same level of success as their Ivy League counterparts. A long-term study by economists Stacey Dale and Alan Kroger found that students who were admitted to elite universities but chose to attend non-Ivy institutions had similar career earnings as their Ivy League peers. In addition, the Chronicle of Higher Education conducted research that focused on the relative importance to employers of 8 applicant attributes when evaluating graduates for hire. Their research showed that internships and employment during college were ranked significantly higher in importance by employers. And the least most important attribute, on the very bottom of the list, was college reputation. So what does this information tell us? It means success is driven more by the student's efforts than by the school's name. It's not about the brand of the school. It's about what you do with the opportunities given to you while you're there. Myth number 3 highlights the importance of things like internships and networking. Your college or university experience is what you make of it. Additional studies show that students who build strong networks and take advantage of internships often have better job prospects than those who rely solely on a school's name. For example, according to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 91% of employers prefer to hire candidates with internship experience. Therefore, building relationships with professors, alumni, and industry professionals can open doors that rankings and scores cannot. So once again, make the most of your time in college or university by seeking those hands-on learning opportunities. This segues right into myth number 4. Many people assume that attending college or university in a major city is the only way to get access to great internship opportunities. The logic seems simple. Big cities mean big businesses, more networking opportunities, higher chances of securing a job post-graduation. But is that really the case? Actually, many non-urban schools offer outstanding internship programs and often have partnerships with businesses that are eager to hire students from them. As the National Association of Colleges and Employers points out, 74% of employers recruit based on college and university partnerships rather than where those schools are located. This means that recruiters go directly to schools, regardless of whether they're in large cities or rural areas. Also, some of the best internship opportunities actually occur during school breaks, when students have the flexibility to work in different locations without trying to balance a full course load at the same time. This means that those internships are not based on you being tied to a specific location for college or university. In addition, competition for top internships in major metropolitan areas can be fierce, with thousands of students vying for the same spots. In contrast, smaller schools often have close-knit connections with local businesses and industries, and it creates a more direct pipeline to hands-on experience. Lastly, student life quickly becomes campus-centered, no matter where you go. While cities have their perks, most students spend a majority of their time in classes, clubs, or study groups, making location less of a determining factor in their overall experience. So, instead of focusing solely on geography, consider a school's career services, its alumni network, and internship placement rates. A school in a smaller town may provide just as many, if not more, opportunities tailored specifically to its students. Myth number 5. Lots of students believe that they need to be involved in as many extracurricular activities as possible, running around, joining, and taking part in everything that they can in order to make their application competitive. The truth? U.S. colleges and universities often value depth and commitment over quantity. In countless conversations that I've had with admissions officers and other counselors, one thing that stands out in this discussion is that a student who has been involved in perhaps more limited number of activities, but for an extended period of time, thereby demonstrating passion and growth, often stands out more than a student who joins multiple activities just to pad their resume. Extended involvement shows commitment, perseverance, and authenticity. This was also shown in a 2019 report from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. It found that students who showed sustained community involvement and authentic passion in their extracurriculars were often viewed more favorably in the admissions process. In short, admissions officers are looking for students who show commitment and contribute meaningfully to their communities, not just those who check off a list of impressive sounding activities. This is a good point to talk about myth number 6. A lot of students and parents assume that summer programs with prestigious school names attached to them or costly overseas volunteer trips automatically boost an application. After all, attending a program at a well-known university or doing service work in another country must stand out, right? Not necessarily. Here's the reality. Admissions officers know that expensive summer programs primarily indicate financial ability, not necessarily merit or passion. That's why those types of programs are colloquially referred to as pay-to-play activities. In addition, many summer volunteer programs are viewed skeptically. Some are even referred to as voluntourism, where students travel briefly to impoverished areas but don't make a meaningful or lasting impact. There are a lot of these out there, and they might look great on the surface, and they are more than happy to take your money, but they actually will offer you very little in return. What matters most is what you do, not where you go. Did you show leadership, growth, or a real commitment to a cause? Did the experience genuinely shape your interests and future goals? Authentic engagement in your local community, internships, or independent projects often carry more weight than a costly prepackaged summer program. In other words, focus on depth, impact, and personal growth rather than prestige. While we're on the topic of admissions, let's get to myth number 7, which has to do with applying early decision. A number of schools in the U.S. give students the option to apply either early decision or early action. In these cases, students usually apply to the college or university around November 1st or November 15th, and they receive a response from the schools typically somewhere between December and the end of January or mid-February or so. So what's the difference between early decision and early action? Applying early decision, or ED, is a binding agreement between the student and the school that they're applying to. It means that if you are admitted, you agree that is where you'll go and you will withdraw all of your other applications. Early action applications, on the other hand, are not binding. Think of it like saying, I'm really interested in this school, but I'm not 100% sure. So in the case of early action, you don't need to withdraw your other applications if you get an offer. An offer of acceptance is not binding. So where does the myth come in? There's a common belief that applying early decision will drastically improve your chances of getting in, especially in relation to competitive schools. And in fact, according to the National Association for College Admissions Counseling, ED applicants have had an acceptance rate nearly twice as high as regular decision applicants at some elite schools. Great, right? I mean, this certainly seems to back up and support the original idea that applying early decision gives you an edge. Now, here's the catch. One important aspect that makes ED applicant acceptance rates higher is that those applying ED are often already highly competitive students. ED applicants tend to be highly qualified and certain about their choice. So what can we learn from this? Early decision can be a great and beneficial strategy, but only if it truly aligns with your goals and your profile. Remember, early decision is a binding commitment, meaning you should only apply ED to a school if you're 100% sure you would attend if they were to offer you a place. Let's get to myth number 8. It's a common misconception that letters of recommendation from famous, influential, or important people will impress admissions officers. In truth, colleges and universities prioritize recommendations from teachers and school counselors who know students well over those big names who don't. Here's why. Teacher and counselor recommendations provide insight into your character, your work ethic, your academic ability, things that matter in the admissions process. Thus, including extra letters from well-known individuals needs to be carefully considered. Are they adding any new or vital information about you, or are they just name-dropping? Admissions officers have seen countless letters from celebrities, politicians, business leaders that barely know the student. These types of letters can actually backfire by signaling a lack of genuine connection. As one Yale University officer put it, the great majority of our admitted students make their case in the space provided. This means your own essays and teacher and counselor recommendations carry far more weight. We see this reflected historically as well. Teacher and counselor recommendations have been the most successful and influential because they provide authentic, detailed perspectives on a student's abilities and contributions in a school setting. Instead of focusing on a famous name, choose recommenders who can tell your story. Another persistent myth is number 9, the idea that private colleges are always more expensive than public universities. While sticker prices may initially seem higher, for example, average tuition at the moment for a 4-year private college in the U.S. is around $50,000 a year, while public universities, Even for out-of-state and international students, averages around $24,000 a year. So, public is cheaper, right? Not always. Private schools often have the ability to grant more generous financial aid packages, and in turn, this can bring their costs down significantly. According to data from the College Board, many private colleges offer significant need-based and merit-based aid, making them just as affordable or even less expensive than public universities in some cases. So what's this tell us? It tells us that it is really important to do your research. Make use of tools like net price calculators if applicable for you, and be sure to explore scholarship opportunities. Pay attention to comprehensive costs that include things like housing, travel, books, supplies, etc. When considering financial fit, don't immediately rule out a school or rule one in just because of that initial price tag. Financial aid can make a huge difference. Lastly, myth number 10, and the belief that hiring private consultants will give you an edge because they have special inside knowledge or a proven track record of securing competitive college admissions, or the idea that, hey, having multiple counselors provides you a strategic advantage. The reality is, school-based counselors are often better connected and better equipped to help you through this process. For example, school counselors regularly meet with admissions officers and participate in professional conferences, many of which private consultants aren't even allowed to attend. Remember that vast global network I mentioned in the video on what is best fit? These conferences are a part of that. Also, schools invest in their counselors' training to ensure that they stay up to date on the latest admissions trends and policies to ensure that their guidance is based on real and current information. Keep in mind also that some private consultants operate as agents, meaning they're financially incentivized by colleges or universities to direct students towards certain institutions. School counselors, on the other hand, are ethically bound to act in your best interest, free from any conflict of interest. Additionally, private consultants cannot write letters of recommendation, but school counselors can, and we do. And colleges place a significant weight on those letters. Furthermore, unlike school counselors, private consultants are not required to be licensed or regulated. There is no governing body ensuring that they provide ethical or accurate advice. Some consultants will even go so far as to want to complete a student's Common App or ask for passwords or access to a student's account so that they can fill in their extracurriculars, write their essays, and complete their supplementals. Doing so is highly unethical. If something like this occurs and school counselors become aware of it or strongly suspect any intentional misrepresentation, unethical practices, or lapse of transparency, we're ethically bound to report any evidence of such to the universities. In addition, many consultants also cherry-pick their clients, only taking on students who already have high chances of acceptance to name-brand schools in order to boost their own success rates, thereby rigging the stats, inflating their claims. School counselors, on the other hand, work with all students to help them find their best fit. It's our job to support and advocate for each and every one of you. Lastly, understand that according to the National Association for College Admissions Counseling, 90% of college and university admissions officers say they prefer to work directly with school counselors over dealing with private consultants. They will often take our calls, but not the calls from a private consultant. Bottom line, trust those who know you best, your school counselor. With that being said, Families may still choose to engage a private consultant in the process, and there are ones out there who are both knowledgeable and ethical. If you do choose such a route, it is your responsibility to inform your school counselor that you have done so and to vet that individual and their credentials very, very carefully. So let's wrap up. As you work through this process and journey, keep in mind that there are lots of myths and misconceptions out there, and there is no magic formula for college and university admissions. Each student's journey is unique, and success comes from making informed choices, working hard, and staying true to yourself. Hopefully, this information dispelling some of the most common myths and misconceptions in this process will help you with that. If you ever feel unsure or have questions, your school's counselor is there to help. Don't hesitate to reach out to them. And lastly, take a deep breath. Trust the process. You have the power to shape your own success. It's your future, your world. Thank you all for watching.